right up, Sarah.
All right, sir. Good night, Henry.
Good night. You're up late.
Too hot to sleep.
No use trying to fool ourselves, Henry. We're just not the men we used to be.
By the size of that meal you packed away tonight, I'd say you hadn't changed in 40 years.
Funny how two people can start from the same point. Drift apart.
It's the nature of the life process.
There used to be a mutuality of understanding and admiration between us, Henry. Why is it, my old friend, that you've moved so far away from me?
No, all motion is relative, Matt. Maybe it's you who have moved away by standing still.
If progress means abandoning God, abandoning the faith of our fathers.
I saw a demonstration of that faith tonight. It's a pretty deadly instrument, I'd say.
What you saw was a reflection of the violence and hate in the world around them, Henry. Your world. But they're driven to it because their faith was challenged. These are simple people, Henry, poor people. They work hard and they need to believe in something beautiful. They're seeking for something more perfect than what they have.
Window shopping for heaven.
Where do you want to take it away from? And it's all they have. Like a golden chalice of hope.
Like my golden dancer.
What?
Golden dancer. She stood in the big side window in the general store at Wakeman, Ohio. I used to stand out on the street and say to myself, if I had Golden Dancer, I'd have everything in the world I ever wanted. I was about 7 years old at the time and a great judge of rocking horses. Golden Dancer had a bright red mane, blue eyes, and she was gold all over with purple spots. And when the sun hit her stirrup, she was a dazzling sight to behold. But she was a week's wages for my father. So Golden Dancer and I always had a big plate glass window between us. And then, let's see, couldn't have been Christmas. It must have been my birthday. I woke in the morning and there was Golden Dancer at the foot of my bed. Mom had skipped on the groceries and my father had worked nights for a month. And I jumped into the saddle and I started to rock. And it broke. Split in two. The wood was rotten. The whole thing was put together with spit and sealing wax. All shine and no substance. And that's how I feel about that demonstration I saw tonight, Matt. All glitter and glamour. You say you're giving the people hope? I think you're stealing their hope.
Oh, no, Henry.
As long as the prerequisite for that shining paradise is ignorance, bigotry, and hate. I say the hell with it.
The way to keep an open mind on the origin of the species.
Very interesting, Howard. Very interesting. Now go on, Howard. Tell us what else Mr. Cates told you in the classroom.
Well, he said first the earth was too hot for any kind of life. Then it cooled off a mite, and cells and things began to grow.
Sales?
Oh. Mr. McKinnon, Mr. Galbraith, Mr. Hilby, I think you know the rest of these gentlemen. Yes.
Sales, Howard.
Little bugs like in the water. Then the little bugs got to be bigger bugs. They sprouted legs and crawled up on the land.
How long did this take, according to Mr. Cates?
A couple million years. Maybe longer. Then comes the fishes and the reptiles and the mammals. Man's a mammal.
Along with the dogs. And the cattle in the field. Did he say that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Howard, how does man come out of this slimy mess of bugs and serpents, according to your, professor?
Well, man are sort of evoluted from the old world monkeys.
Did you hear that, my friend? Old world monkey. Going to this case. You and I aren't even descended from good American monkeys. Now, Howard, listen carefully. In all this talk of bugs and evolution, of slime and ooze, did Mr. Gates ever make any reference to God?
Not as I remember.
Of the miracle he achieved in 7 days, as described in the beautiful book of Genesis?
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Objection. I ask the court to remind the learned counsel that he is not in a Chautauqua tent. He's supposed to be submitting evidence to a jury. There are no ladies on the jury.
Your Honor, I have no intention of making a speech. There is no need. I am sure that everyone on the jury, everyone within the sound of this boy's voice, is moved by his tragic confusion. He has been taught that he wriggled up like an animal from the filth and muck below. I say that these Bible haters, these evolutionists, are brewers of poison. And the legislature of this sovereign state has had the wisdom to demand that the peddlers of poison in bottles or in books clearly label the product they attempt to sell. I say that if this law is not upheld, this boy will become one of a generation short of its faith by the teachings of godless science. But if the full penalty of the law is meted out to Bertram Gates, the faithful the whole world over, who are watching us here and listening to our every word, will rise up and call this courtroom blessed. Your witness, sir.
I sure am glad the colonel didn't make a speech. Now, how? I heard you say that the war used to get pretty hot.
Well, that's what Mr. Gates said.
Any hotter than it is right now, you think?
Well, I guess it must have been. Mr. Gates read it to us from a book.
This is the book. Charles Darwin's Theory of the Evolution and the Descent of Man.
Yes, sir.
That's right, Howard. That's the very book he read to you in your classroom. Now, Howard, so, do you think there was anything wrong in that?
Well, I don't know.
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is asking that a 15-year-old boy hand down an opinion on a question of morality.
I am trying to establish that Howard or Colonel Brady or Charles Darwin or anyone sitting in this courtroom or you, sir, has the right to think.
Drummond, the right to think is not on trial here.
Well, with all due respect to the court, sir, I think the right to think is very much on trial here. And it is fearfully in danger in the proceedings of this courtroom.
A man is on trial.
A thinking man. And he's faced with fine and imprisonment because he chooses to speak what he thinks.
Colonel Drummond, would you please rephrase your question?
Well, now, let's put it this way, Howard. All this fuss and feathers about evolution, you think it hurt you any?
Sir?
Did it do you any harm? Still feel reasonably fit? What Mr. Gates told you, did it hurt your baseball game any? Did it affect your pitching arm?
No, sir. I'm a lefty.
A southpaw, huh? Still honor your father and your mother?
Sure.
Haven't murdered anybody since breakfast, have you?
Objection. This is an absurd piece of jactitation.
Counsel uses a word with which the bench is not familiar.
Jactitation. A specious or false premise. In this instance, as to the murder of known or unknown persons.
Objection sustained. Ask him if his faith in the Holy Scriptures has been shattered.
When I need your help, Colonel Brady. You may rest assured I shall humbly ask for it.
Anytime, Colonel Drummond. Anytime.
He's the only man I know who can strut sitting down.
Now, Howard, tell me something. Did you believe everything Mr. Cates told you?
I'm not sure. I gotta think about it.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, your pa's a farmer, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Got a tractor?
Brand new one.
You think there's anything sinful about a tractor because it isn't mentioned in the Bible?
No.
You know, Moses never made a phone call. You figure that makes the telephone an instrument of the devil?
I never thought of it that way.
Neither did anybody else. Your Honor, the defense makes the same old error of all godless men. He confuses material things with the great spiritual value of the revealed word. Why do you bewilder this child? Does right have no meaning to you, sir?
Realizing that I may prejudice the case of my client, I must tell you that right has no meaning for me whatsoever. But truth has meaning, as a direction. But it is one of the peculiar imbecilities of our time that we place a grid of morality upon human behavior, so that the action of every man must be measured against an arbitrary latitude of right and a longitude of wrong in exact minutes, degrees, and seconds. So, Howard, you know what the heck? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
No, sir.
Maybe someday you will. That's all, son. Thank you. Your excuse.
This boy may not understand, but I do. I've seen what you can do to a jury. Twist and tangle. Nobody's forgotten the Endicott publishing case, where you made the jury believe the obscenity was in their own minds. It was immoral what you did to the jury, tricking them, judgment by confusion. You think you can get away with it here?
I'm not trying to get away with anything. I am simply trying to prevent the clock stoppers from dumping a lot of medieval nonsense into the United States Constitution.
This is not a federal court, Colonel Drummond.
Well, damn it, you have to stop them somewhere.
Your Honor, it's obvious what he's trying to do. He is trying to make us forget the lawbreaker and put the law on trial. Well, we have the answer for you and our next witness. Call Miss Rachel Brown to the stand.